John Bush here with a special message to libertarian activists and truth activists across the country. I just recently watched a short little piece by the Free Mind Report guys, Holland and James Lane out of Oklahoma City, and the purpose of that piece was to remind Americans that the supposed threat from Al Qaeda and the reason why we have many of the intrusions that many Americans are becoming used to today, a lot of that is false, bogus, hyped up, false flag nonsense. I've been involved for about 8 years personally. I got involved after I began to question the official story about what happened on 9/11. Since then, I've been got involved in many single-issue coalitions, and most of them are directly related to different intrusions and privacy, civil liberties violations that have popped up as a result of 9/11 and the war on terror. And of course, the body scanners are one of those. So the reason I'm doing this video is I came across a news piece today from yesterday, I believe the 22nd, and this piece showed a woman here at the Austin-Bergstrom International Airport. Of course, Texans for Accountable Government and other organizations and local activists have been pushing back and trying to prevent the TSA from bringing a body scanner here to Austin. And it's difficult sometimes playing the PR game because, unfortunately, because of these the 9/11 attack and the underwear bomber, the Portland, Oregon FBI fiasco that just happened recently, which we'll chat about, a lot of people are scared out of their wits, and trying to appeal to the Constitution or their Fourth Amendment rights is not working. These people are willingly submitting and giving up their liberty for security, and they seem to enjoy doing it. So I just want to piggyback on the video that I'm going to link to from the Free Mind Report, again illustrating how absurd and how false this war on terror and the supposed Al-Qaeda terror threat is. And I just wanted to demonstrate some things that we're seeing here in the local media down in Austin. I know it's the same across the country, but this is the footage from the news story, so I'll give you a quick overview of it, and then I wanted to cut to a couple of interviews with a couple Austin passengers and illustrate exactly why it's absolutely important that we liberty activists continue to expose the truth, the absurdity, and the realities of the bogus, phony Al-Qaeda threat. It will make our liberty activism and pushing back against these particular intrusions all the much more easier if we also, along the way, educate the American public about the realities of this phony false flag threat so they can put their fears down and actually stand up for their freedoms. So check it out. This is the story from yesterday,
Absolutely,
the 22nd.
Terry. The female passenger who says she's a rape victim and who has a pacemaker-type device implanted in her chest told me her constitutional rights were violated and she never broke any laws. But the Transportation Security Administration disagrees.
That they insisted that I go through it again.
56-year-old Claire Hirschkin was hoping to spend...
So basically, this woman went through the line. She is a rape victim. She also has a pacemaker. She went through the metal detector, and it went off, so she was sent to secondary screening. They gave her two choices, when in fact there was a third, the coercive choice. Either you get the enhanced pat-downs, in which they will touch your breast. She said, I'll do the pat down, but you're not going to touch my breast. And they said, yes, I will. Or you can leave. She wasn't allowed to leave, apparently, and she ended up being arrested, and the Austin Police Department assisted in that as well. It's a major atrocity. She's a rape victim. Of course, we've built coalitions with sexual assault victims, rights groups, and they're absolutely opposed to that. But now let's see what the some other Austinites had to say about this intrusion that happened to this woman, her constitutional rights violated, assaulted. Many sexual assault victims say this isn't a privacy violation, this is outright assault, and many people agree with them. So let me skip here to this portion, and you can see the ignorance of the American
Spend Christmas
public.
with friends in California. An ABIA spokesman says it's opt out.
I understand.
Other travelers we talked to say
Americans.
they empathize with Hirschkin, but the law is the law.
And I understand her side of it and their side as well, but for our protection, I have no problems with it.
It's unfortunate that that happened, and she didn't get to fly home, but makes me feel a little safer.
Okay, for these two women, may your chains rest lightly upon your shoulders. But again, this illustrates the absolute the necessity, in my opinion, for we libertarian activists to continue to illustrate, to expose the truth about these events, be it 9/11, the underwear bomber. Of course, Kurt Haskell, a lawyer, saw the underwear bomber be escorted through security by a sharp-dressed man. He wanted the FBI to investigate. The FBI refused to get the video footage to review it. Additionally, it later came out in congressional testimony that the gentleman escorting the underwear bomber through the security without a passport was a State Department official. We have another video here. This is some coverage of Austin activists pushing back against the TSA, but again, they always include an individual in there. While these people are against the TSA procedures, there's still this useful idiot here that we're going to interview and put out there. In many instances, there are people that are opposed to it. However, they selectively use the people that are willingly giving up their freedoms in order to drive the point home. We have been got some great coverage here from the local media, but some of it still continues to toe the party line, as we see right here.
Don't travel constantly or often, and there's concerned that they're going to be pulled out of line and people touch them and things like that. But I mean, the alternative it's much better than the alternative of paying for the safe travel, I think.
Now so there's another woman whose chains, may they rest lightly upon their shoulders. And then finally, one more example from some recent
But Beverly
coverage.
Robertson, who usually travels internationally, says she'd like to see more.
I have to admit, I have been patted down over the years, and I don't think it's a huge deal, as long as it's done, with other people present, where it doesn't go beyond the bounds of normal physical privacy.
Many airports are utilizing body scan machines. The TSA.
Okay, so we're going to continue to push back on the TSA and similar intrusions, unconstitutional acts, but I want to appeal to the libertarian movement and remind them that it's going to make our job all the more easier to roll back these invasive measures if we continue to educate the public about the realities of the false war on terror, the false Al-Qaeda terror threat. You can do this by exposing the Portland, Oregon fiasco, the Christmas tree bomber recently. Of course, there's a bunch of crazies out there, but unless the FBI comes along and actually gives them a bomb, and this time it was fake, many times they're not capable of carrying out any of the actions that they may dream about in their minds. Of course, the Portland, Oregon Christmas tree bomber is the throwback to the 1993 World Trade Center bomber, whereby the FBI actually cooked the bomb and gave this gentleman a live bomb. An informant was starting to give live bomb pieces. An informant with the FBI, he began recording his conversations, and it later came out that, in fact, the FBI had given a live bomb to the people that they were trying to set up in a sting operation. As you see in the video from the Free Mind Report that I hope you'll watch, this particular sting went live, and of course, a dozen people or more died, and 1,000 plus were injured. And of course, the story of Kurt Haskell and the underwear bomber, the FBI failing to provide the video, as well as the potential that it was a State Department official going through there. Another thing to mention about how this is such a hyped up bogus threat is the fact that the borders remain wide open regardless of your position on illegal immigration. It's a fact that our borders are right now penetrable by Al-Qaeda, the supposed Al-Qaeda threat. If they were really such a threat, it seems like it would be very simple for them to smuggle in some sort of dirty bomb, which was the big fiasco 5 years ago. Additionally, 9/11 is something that I would encourage people to speak to their friends, their family about, including talking points and discussion with the media. Of course, World Trade Center 7, a lot of stuff has come out from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So for you libertarian activists out there that are shying away from the 9/11 truthing, I encourage you to look at some of the new video that has come out from FOIA requests of Building 7, of firefighters, and of New York City emergency management officials discussing discussing explosions going off, discussing a countdown, discussing bombs in the building. There's new footage now that make it empirically clear through the video that Building 7 was brought down by controlled demolition, the manner that it falls, 6.5 seconds free fall speed. Additionally, you can refer to the Pentagon and the lack of evidence that a plane had crashed there, the multiple drills that were going on that simulated planes flying into FBI and other buildings. In addition to, it now turns out that al-Awlaki, one of the main organizers of Al-Qaeda, the main guys behind Al-Qaeda, wined and dined at the Pentagon shortly after 9/11. These are all things that you can point to in order to undermine the false fear that Americans have in their minds in order to assist our efforts in rolling back these intrusions. So I encourage you to include that in your talking points. I'm going to end here with a clip from Fox 7. Notice the headline, "Many Not Bothered by TSA Scanners." That's a purposeful headline, and in this one they also included the language that they included all across the country. It looks like many people decided to opt out of the opt-out, which of course many people didn't opt out. They decided not to fly altogether. So let's check out this footage right here. In it, I include some talking points about many people are beginning to believe that this threat isn't at what they make it appear to be. So I would encourage you libertarian activists. Many people think it's kooky, or they don't want to be discredited to talk about 9/11 truth, or the fact that there's false flag terror attacks going on regularly all across the world. I would encourage you to listen to Glenn Beck, who's now inferring that Oklahoma City was an inside job and that Obama administration could potentially use new attacks like this. It's become mainstream. I want to thank Alex Jones and InfoWars, We Are Change, Holland, James Lane, Free Mind Report for getting that out there in the American public, because it's now mainstream. False flag attacks are being used, and I want the libertarian movement to realize that you can utilize spreading the message about these false flag attacks in order to undermine the false fear present in the minds of Americans, which will in turn assist our efforts in rolling back the intrusive nature of the state. So I'm going to leave you with this right here. There'll be links to the videos. There's some also videos about Al-Qaeda not being a threat I'm going to leave you with, and I encourage you to look into this, include it in your talking points, and together we will be free.
Growing movement against TSA's new security screening measures. Fox 7's Camille Williams spending some time at the airport today with passengers and one local group who is protesting those pat-downs and body scanners. Camille, what are they saying?
Well, Loriana, you know this, that Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's the busiest travel time of the year. So why would the TSA decide to do these intrusive pat-downs, these new security screenings now? Well, we did speak with them today, and they say that even though this underwear bomber incident happened a year ago, they told us why they are doing it now.
Now remember, the underwear bomber scenario has so many holes in it. Notice how the TSA and the establishment continually hammer this into the heads of Americans so they willingly give up their freedoms.
These intense pat-downs right before the holidays. Why didn't you guys do it in June or July?
All I can tell you is that the AIT deployment, the whole body imaging deployment, has been underway for several months, and it's part of the AIT deployment.
Is there something that you guys know that you're not telling us about?
There is intelligence out there that says that there's an ongoing threat. It's not a actionable threat at this time, but it's an ongoing threat.
This morning, there was a protest against full-body scanners and the intrusive pat-downs. It's something going on around the nation. Austin Bergstrom International Airport does not have the full-body scanners yet, but this group came out here to keep it that way. We're joined now by some of the organizers of this protest today, and, you know, we want to ask you guys, go ahead and tell us, many people agree with you, but what do you have to say for those who say it's about safety?
Well, what's interesting, actually, the manufacturers of some of these naked body scanners have even said that they wouldn't have prevented the underwear bomber or the shoe bomber. On top of that, a lot of people think that this terror threat is overhyped. We're still waiting on people, the government, to investigate the testimony of Kurt Haskell, who said the underwear bomber was escorted through the security by a man in a suit, and that hasn't been looked at all.
So then what is the alternative to all of this? I mean, if you guys don't like the pat-downs, you don't like the full-body scanners, I mean, what is it? You'd rather someone walk onto an airplane with a bomb?
Not at all. I mean, what we'd like to see are effective bomb-sniffing dogs, chemical machines that detect explosives. If the government was serious about protecting us, they'd look at explosives detection as opposed to this mass in violation of our rights.
All right. Well, earlier today we spoke with some passengers who say these pat-downs, the full-body scanners, no big deal.
It was a body scanner. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Came up and put your hands over your head and go through.
I don't care about things like that. And I understand you've got the ACLU and they've got to protect people's rights, and that's what that's all about. But, you know, they're also trying to keep people safe.